Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm not going to give this video too much preamble. I feel like my intros keep getting longer and longer, but in this video I'm going to be reading 3 fantasy romances that you guys have recommended to me. I asked on Instagram, you guys provided answers, and yes, I am finally going to be reading From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Ermintrout. I have not ever received so many recommendations for a book as I have for this one, so I will be reading that book in this video. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that book or any of the others, continue watching. However, I will say there will be spoilers for all 3 of these books, so if you don't want to get spoiled for any of them, just be forewarned. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Not sure if putting my hair down from my bun was a good decision or a bad decision, but we're gonna leave it because my head hurts. I have been like putting off filming this clip for so long because I just don't really know what to say beyond kind of rehashing the plot of this book so far. I'm about 20% into From Blood and Ash by JLA. Again, like I said in the intro, this was y'all's most requested book for me to read this year. I swear I've never had so many comments as I have for this book, which I don't know, just really surprises me given, I don't want to say given the author, but I don't know, I guess I just haven't heard that much buzz for a JLA book since like Obsidian came out back in the day. That's the one with the aliens, right? I never read it. I don't know, I guess maybe because you guys hyped this book up, I don't know what I was expecting. It's not bad, it's just basic, but also sexy, if that makes sense. Like, it kind of feels like I'm reading Throne of Glass, but if Throne of Glass was even more sexual than Sarah J Maas book, and nothing even like particularly sexy has happened yet, but I'm just getting those like sexy vibes, I guess. So this book is about our main character, Poppy, and we find out at the very beginning that she has lived a very sheltered life. She opens up the book being at this sort of like den of iniquity, seeing gambling going on, sexy things going on, and she sees someone that she knows kind of walking around the gambling hall, so she has to go and hide somewhere, and she ends up hiding in a room with this guy who is like, I don't want to say a notorious player, but everybody kind of knows who he is. He's super hot, and she kind of wants to like get it on with him, and so at the very beginning you're just like thrown into this, wow, this is kind of sexy vibe. She doesn't have sex with him. She ends up leaving because he's like called away for some reason. That whole like sequence of events is kind of where we figure out about Poppy and her backstory. So she is a maiden, which is like a singular person in this society, I guess you could say. They didn't do a very good job at explaining this in the very beginning of the book, but essentially there are second born children of like lords and ladies and dukes and shit who end up having this sort of ascension ceremony. They're sort of like upper crust of society, and they go through this ascension ceremony once they reach a certain age, and they become immortal. Poppy's a little bit different because not only is she going to become ascended, she also is someone who's got a gift. She can feel others' emotions, and she can kind of like control others' emotions, take away pain, etc. Because of this, she is treated very different than everybody else. She has to wear a veil over her face. She has to be very chaste and like maidenly, which kind of makes sense. And so seeing her in this den of iniquity, I don't know what else to call it really, like gambling hall, sexy gambling hall, we get the vibe that she's rebelling, right? She's kind of rebellious and she doesn't like the life that she's given. And then after she leaves, we find out even more about kind of the society and why she feels the way that she does. So we find out that the people that are taking care of her, supposed to take care of her, aren't doing a very good job. Her parents died, and the Duke and Duchess are now taking care of her, so she is not having the best time because they're very protective, and she has to like behave a certain way, put up with a lot of bullshit. And then right at the 20% mark, we find out that not only is there this sort of like ascension, immortality thing going on, there's vampires. Poppy has these guards, and the whole kingdom has guards because outside of the walls of the city there are monsters and there are creatures afoot that are created, I guess, from the war that happened. So there was a war that happened a few centuries ago, and the new like Duke and Duchess are like the new government. Before that there was like a king and a queen, I think, and the king or the prince didn't die, and he is still afoot. I think he's called like the Dark One or something. He's beyond the walls, and he controls all of like the vampires and monsters and stuff. And we find out about the vampires because if like the guards at the wall get bitten, they become vampires and they can like kill everybody. So it's important that those people don't stay vampires for long, you know what I mean? Like they get killed off, and Poppy kind of helps do that at one point in the book. So that's sort of where I'm at. I feel like I'm not doing a great job at explaining this society because I kind of don't understand it myself. Understand the monsters, understand the vampires, understand like, you know, the war and how everything happened in that regard. I'm just not really understanding the importance of the ascension for these people and really what that means and why only some of these people can become immortal. Is it just that poor people can't become immortal? That seems a little fucked up, although I guess par for the course in a society. But I want to know what the ascension actually means because we don't really know yet what that means for people. Are they going to become a different sort of vampire? Anyway, it's interesting enough. Like, I guess the premise is interesting. I guess I personally have a hard time when there's a lot of moving parts in a book. Maybe I'm just too unintelligent to understand that, but for me, I tend to prefer worlds. Like, if you're going to have vampires, I'm not saying they have to be like a particular type of vampire, right? Like, I fuck with Twilight vampires, and I also fuck with like Buffy vampires, but I mean that I don't like there to be too many things going on. Like in Nalini Singh, her like Archangel series, you've got archangels, you've got vampires, you've got like a ton of different creatures in one world. Makes things confusing to me and just like not make sense in my head. I can't picture it, and I'm having a hard time picturing this society too, because you've got vampires, you've got monsters that we haven't really seen yet, and you've also got people who become immortal, but like what's the payoff there? Like, what's the trade-off? I'm assuming there is one, but we haven't seen it yet. So I've been trying to find a way to articulate my thoughts about this book all day, but it's been a challenge because I don't know what to say other than like, this is the plot, and I'm like, about it. Jess from Peace Love Books said that it's slow in the beginning and that I just need to like hold out a little bit, and that's what I'm gonna do. I don't hate it. I don't hate our main character. I think she's a little bland, but like not terrible. I am hoping though that the guy that she like initially almost hooked up with at the beginning is not the love interest, because I'd be very bored by that. I'm hoping that she gets with the demon daddy that we have like gotten hint of, you know, like, ooh, there's a bad guy on the other side of the wall. I was gonna say on the inside of her wall. Not cute, so I'm not gonna say that. I don't know, I'm always here for the demon daddy. Kind of like, I just feel like the Sarah J Maas Crescent City book would have been much better if she had gotten with demon daddy and not Hunt. So anyway, I think that's it for me. I'm obviously a little out of it. It is kind of late. All right, this video, I swear, I have filmed more clips over and over again for this video than I have for any other. I just don't know what to say about this book. I'm 40% into From Blood and Ash by JLA, and I am enjoying it more than I was previously, but I feel like things have gotten so complicated that I don't even know if I can articulate things, okay? Things are just complicated, and I don't know if I'm enjoying that or not, but I am enjoying the characters more, which I am appreciating immensely. So let me try to break it down. Let me try to express my feelings. Since we last spoke, we found out a little bit more about what it means to ascend and if that is a good thing or not. At one point, we have a family come to petition the Duke and Duchess, and they say that since their first two sons died, they would prefer if their third son could not ascend. So we're finding out that like ascension is not necessarily something that everybody wants or everybody wants for their children. So every child that is born like middle or last, it has to ascend. So only the first child can choose not to ascend, I guess. We still don't know what ascension really means. Like we know that these people become immortal. We don't know what their diet consists of. We just know that their eyes turn black and that they're immortal. So that's sort of interesting, and it's seeming like it might not be a good thing, this whole ascension ceremony thing. And we know that our main character Poppy is being treated pretty terribly prior to her ascension and treated quite misogynistically and abusively, so don't love that. So that was sort of an interesting inclusion that we start getting kind of as the book carries on. And then we also find out that there might be a third type of immortal creature. So I think I told you guys that before this current, I don't know, regime was in place, I think it's called Macedonia is what they call themselves, Macedonians. Before this great war that happened, there were Atlanteans. Prince Castile and his family ruled, and everybody is now dead except for Prince Castile, who's now the Dark One, and he is in charge of all these like vampires and creatures outside of the wall. So we find out that Prince Castile, he might be doing some bad shit, and we find out that the Atlanteans are actually vampires as well, and that they create bites in a less, I don't want to say harmful way than the Craven or like the monstrous vampires, but one of the ladies of the court ends up passing away because she's bitten by a mysterious creature. It doesn't look like a Craven bite because Cravens go a little ham when they kill people, and they're like, oh shit, I think Atlanteans might be back. There might be, you know, Atlanteans hiding somewhere and they might be back. Maybe Prince Castile sent someone in to kill this woman and maybe he's back. So that's sort of something that's happening. And then we just had a battle between the Craven who were trying to invade late at night one night and the like guards of the Rise, which is, you know, the wall surrounding everything. And of course our main character Poppy decides that she's gonna go and defend herself. So that's kind of where we're at. Also at this point, Hawk, who is the guy that she met at the Red Jewel, I don't know what the fuck that Den of Iniquity was called, but he is now a part of her guard, and he knows that she was the person at the Den of Iniquity. So fine, that's a fun detail. I think I'm liking their interactions and their banter more. I think that was really what was lacking at the beginning of the book. Between the two of them, it felt very stilted and uninteresting, like the dialogue between the two of them. And now that they are potentially going to be love interests, I am liking them more together. I think it's kind of interesting. He seems, you know, a little bit douchey and a little bit one-dimensional unconventional, but like in a fun, sexy way. I'm here for it. That being said, I'm curious to see where that relationship goes because they keep hinting at Prince Castile. They keep hinting at it. So is he going to interrupt the Ascension ceremony? Is he going to be Hawke? Like, is Prince Castile and Hawke, are they the same person? Perhaps. Or is she going to be taken to like the underworld or like, I don't know, secret lair of the Atlanteans with Prince Castile on the day of the Ascension ceremony? These are the thoughts that I'm having. And I think that's kind of why I've been so slow to read this book. Anytime I read fantasy at this point, I just make all of these assumptions and guesses on what's going to happen, and I don't fully let myself enjoy the book, which is definitely on me and no one else's, you know, problem. But it's making reading this book slow going, which is frustrating because I'd like to finish this book today, but I'm only 40% in, and I think this book is like over 600 pages, so I don't know if I'll get there, but I'm enjoying it more than I was, so that's encouraging. I really hope this book though does take me by surprise. I hope that none of my guesses as to what's going to happen are actually what's going to happen. I hope that like there's just a wild plot twist. I just remember reading A Court of Mist and Fury for the first time and not seeing that whole like plot twist, switch in love interest thing happen. I'm hoping that happens in this book. I'm hoping something just zesty happens that I don't see coming, so fingers crossed. I'll keep you guys posted if anything changes, but thus far, pretty good. So you mean to tell me that there's wolves? Not only do we have not one, not two, but 3 types of vampires. There's also wolves. Werewolves. Fucking werewolves. Okay. I'm 80% in. I know I told you I was gonna update you guys at 75%, but nothing was happening except for Hawke was going uptown, downtown, all around to Miss Cucumber Melon Bath & Body Works, giving her the business, which, can I just say, was not sexy. I didn't enjoy it, and I'm neutral about them as a couple. I think they're fine, but I just don't feel like the relationship background was there to make me care. I'm gonna really be upset if they're endgame in any regard, so fingers crossed that they're not. Anyway, the scene that I just left off on, Poppy is being taken by one of her guards away from this like stronghold that they were taking a break at. And I didn't tell you guys this, but basically Poppy and Hawke and like her guards, I guess, or some of her guards that were assigned to her are going to go to the capital because the Duchess obviously can't protect Poppy and the Queen wants to see her. So Poppy's gonna go on her merry way and pretend to be just a regular girl, and she's being a little free and loose with it, which, I mean, good for you. I wouldn't want to be the maiden either, but anyway, she's going on this little quest and stuff starts getting suspicious. She bones down with what's his name, and then, you know, they're at this stronghold, at this like, you know, fort, castle, I don't know what you want to call it, town. One of her guards is like, yo, I don't really even know who Kieran, one of the guards, is. He like randomly got assigned to you and I'm getting a little suspicious. Also, I don't know who Hawke is either, like, is what this man is saying. I know who Hawke is. And he's like, you know what, I think, you know who I am. Why don't we get the fuck out of here because I don't trust these people. And she's like, okay. She's suspicious, but she listens to him. And then Kieran transforms into a fucking wolf because there's not enough magical creatures as is. I mean, there was hints at it earlier that they would be part of the Atlanteans, like wolves. Wolven is what they call themselves, but that they hadn't been seen in centuries and they probably don't even exist. So who knows what the fuck else is gonna come out of the woodwork. We could get zombies, we could get ghosts, witches, I don't know. Holding out hope that we get some other cool weird shit, because it's like, if you're gonna go whole hog, let's go really whole hog. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. I don't know. I don't know about this book. I'm ready for that wild plot twist and it's just not getting me there yet. But the words that Hawke tells Miss Penelope after they do the dirty implies that no matter what happens, promise me you'll remember this forever. And it's like, okay, I don't trust you. I don't know why she does either. So maybe she'll become a little bit less naive after this. That would be sick. She hasn't been like the worst character ever, but okay, anyway, I'm just babbling at this point. I'm gonna continue reading. Pray for me. Hello. Change of scenery. I'm in my closet because Hayden's in the other room, and I wanted to be able to be as loud as I wanted for this clip because I'm upset. I just finished From Blood and Ash by JLA, and I literally guessed every plot twist and I'm upset. Literally, I feel like the first clip that I filmed for this, I predicted that Hawke and Prince Castile / the Dark One would be the same person. I feel like I predicted that the Ascended were going to be kind of like bad vampires. I predicted that the Atlanteans were going to be other kinds of vampires. I'm just upset. I will say, to her credit or benefit, whatever, the foreshadowing was well done, I guess, because I was able to anticipate these things. She left the breadcrumbs, which I guess is good writing. And I did appreciate the relationship being built between Prince Castile and Miss Cucumber Melon. I keep calling her that, by the way, because he refers to her juices as honeydew. I liked their relationship at the end. I liked the sex scene that occurred at the very end of the book. I thought that was nice. I thought it was zesty and flavorful, at least. A little bit of lemon pepper compared to the salt and pepper seasoning we were getting at the beginning, right? Like, there was some development and I appreciated it. I think murder and like betrayal makes things a little sexier, so I wasn't upset at that. But I am upset because I literally guessed everything down to literally, I should have told you guys this, but down to the fact that he kept calling her princess the entire book. I was like, I think he's calling her that because he intends to make her his princess, and that's exactly right. That's literally exactly right. He's taking her to Atlantia to get married. So I guessed everything. I take back everything I said. I'm not doo-doo brained. I am galaxy brained. I am smart. I am brilliant. I guessed the plot of this book. Although to be fair, I don't think this was like a hard plot to guess. Besides all of the like red herrings, not even red herrings, all of the stupid world building that was thrown in, I was still able to guess everything. So anyway, what to rate this book is really the question, because I thought it was an okay reading experience. However, I did guess everything. I didn't love the characters, and I also felt like this took way too long to read. It took me a full like 3 days to get through, which is like not common for me if I'm like really putting my mind to something. I think I'm gonna give this book 3 stars. I'm not saying you guys were wrong that I would love this, but you were wrong. And I feel like you should have known that. You know, if you know me, I feel like you should have known that. I think it has the potential to go up to 4 stars if when I read the second book in the series, like that one somehow blows me away. Maybe I will change the rating for this one, but I don't know. The second one comes out like in a couple days, or it's already come out, I don't know. Maybe I'll read that for like a follow-up video if you guys want that. I don't know. I feel like my thoughts for this one were not that exciting, so don't blame you if you don't want to see any more JLA content from me, but I think now I am going to start on something new and exciting, and maybe it'll be a 5-star for me. I kind of feel like one of these other two is going to be a surprise hit, a surprise gem. I think the next one I'm going to start is Radiance by Grace Draven. This one is like not an enemies to lovers, but they essentially find each other hideous because they're not the same species, and they end up getting together in a very like non-bestial sense. I think they're like married. Is it a marriage of convenience or something like that? Like they're thrown together and they have to like get to know each other and love each other. So however, it is 10:30, so I'm gonna endeavor and embark on that tomorrow. It'll be a hoot and a half. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I always go in with the best of intentions. I wanted to like this book, but it let me down. Happy Friday. I am 20% into Radiance by Grace Draven. I'm supposed to be finished with all of the books by now, but what's that like America's Next Top Model clip of her being like, I can't stand the pressure of it? That's me. I just like have not been in the mood to read the past few days, but it's fine. This book is really good. The 20% of this that I've read has been very seamless and it has gone very quickly. I just, like I said, haven't been in the mood to read. However, I love these characters, and I'm just realizing maybe as I get older that I'm liking less problematic shit and less toxic and dysfunctional relationships. We love character growth. So this book is about a human girl named Ildiko and a Kai man named Brishan. Brishan is this sort of like, I don't know, gray monster person, but they speak the same language, so he's not like an animal. Basically, the best way I think to describe this is like Dothraki fan fiction without any of the problematic consent elements, because essentially our human girl gets married off to this kind of like beast kind of man, and he is a warrior, and he's like the second son, or like, I don't even know if he's the second son. He's like very far down the line. Like he's definitely not going to inherit the throne. And yeah, they just had an arranged marriage and they both find each other hideous. However, from the very beginning, they had sort of a friendship that sparked really quickly and it felt so genuine. So I guess this is going to be kind of like a friends to lovers story. I'm not doing a great job at describing it. Basically, what I've read so far, they get married and then they are traveling back to his home country and they get attacked, and he protects her from the attack, and they sort of have this bonding moment. Even before they get married though, they like have a chance encounter and meet each other before they get married. There's just like good groundwork set, I think, for this relationship, and even though they find each other hideous, they still like appreciate each other's personality, which I think is really sweet, and I'm sure they're going to like become attracted to each other, or maybe they won't, I don't know. But I just like how wholesome the romance is. It's like not even a romance yet, it's just a friendship, and I love it. I think the dialogue's really great, and I think compared to From Blood and Ash, this definitely has a quicker writing style and a prettier writing style. It's not like overly verbose or flowery, however it is, I think, a little prettier. I think this first person? I don't think this is a first person narrative. I could be getting that wrong, but the characters aren't using I. Third person limited. It just, I think it reads more like fantasy, and I also just like how easy it was to get into the story. I have no idea where the story's going, but I don't feel like I'm getting info dumped or that I'm bored, so that's good to know. I don't think I'm gonna read anymore tonight though, tragically, because I'm going to pick up a friend from the airport, so I won't be filming. Shit, I hope I get to finish this before Sunday. We will see if that happens, but I will probably update you guys once I'm like 50% into this book. Okay, so I am 50% into Radiance by Grace Draven, and I don't know what else I can say about this book that I haven't already said, to be honest, but it is so cute, and it's just so different from Blood and Ash. I tried to explain the storytelling earlier. I think it is a bit more flowery, and it does have that that kind of like third person prose, so it feels more like a fairy tale kind of fantasy. On top of that, I love how quickly we were thrown into the story. I love how quickly things are developing between our two characters. I think it's pretty clear that the plot of this book isn't really like a plot. That sounds terrible, but I'm 50% in and not much has happened. I think the husband and wife Ildiko, I don't know how to say that, and Brishen are gonna go to his home. They had to like make a pit stop in town to meet his mother and father, who were the king and queen. Ildiko really impressed them and was able to kind of show her strength even though she's a human. So I liked that. I liked how she was like willing to stand up to his mother, who was like really kind of bitchy to Ildiko. So I thought that was super cute, and overall I like it. I don't have much else to say because I like it. I don't know. I think it's so much easier to spout off criticisms, but it's hard when I'm just genuinely enjoying something. I think if you are just dipping your toes into fantasy romance, this is a great one because it really is heavy on the romance, not so heavy on the fantasy, but I think the fantasy is a great mechanism for this kind of story to be told because it is truly a friends to lovers and opposites attract kind of romance, because the characters, I mean, they're like different species essentially. It's like an extreme version of that whole like opposites attract thing. So I like it, and again, I'm just so curious to see if that attraction ever develops because they have this amazing chemistry. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna like eventually find each other attractive. You're already kind of getting hints of the fact that they're not as disgusted with each other as they first were, but I love their banter and their relationship. It's really cute. I also really like Brishen because the Kai people are very like cutthroat warriors, and Ildiko's family, like they're similar, but it's like a different sort of, you know, culture, which I actually really have been enjoying that too, like the culture clashes, I guess. But Brishen is very much unlike his family in that he is just trying to be happy and trying to have a fun life. Like he knows that he's never going to be king or anything, so he doesn't have to take life too seriously. So I'm liking his attitude. I'm gonna keep reading. I'll probably just update you guys when I'm done because I can't foresee this like changing and being something I don't enjoy. We'll see. Okay, so it is Sunday and I have officially finished Radiance by Grace Draven, and I think after some pondering, I'm gonna be giving this book 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I was kind of deciding between 4 and 5 stars for a while there, but I was like, there's nothing in this book that I would have changed, or there was nothing in this book that I didn't enjoy, so it's definitely a 5-star read. It was so cute, and I just loved the characters. I mean, that's really what this book comes down to. There did end up being a little bit of plot at the end, but overall the story really centers on our two main characters and their romance, and it was just so flawless. There wasn't any like one particular turning point in my opinion where they went from like not liking each other to being in love or anything, which I appreciated. Like it was just a slow gradual build of this mutual respect and admiration. It did develop into an attraction as well, and it was great. I loved their sex scenes. I thought they were tasteful yet smutty. I think there were like 2 of them, so if you were not a smutty romance person, I don't think this should turn you off from reading the book, but it was just really cute overall, and I'm actually curious to see where the plot goes. It was just so well enmeshed in the story, and I think that it never felt like it took over the romance, but I definitely kind of want to know what's gonna happen next. So yes, overall just a very successful read. What's not successful, however, has been my foray into The Bird and the Sword by Amy Harmon. If you didn't know, Amy Harmon is an author that I read from time to time. I do enjoy her books, and they tend to be on that indie spectrum from like super smutty and dark to like really cheesy and deep. She falls more on the cheesy and deep category, and this book is kind of no exception despite the fact that it is not her normal genre of contemporary. So this story is about our main character named Lark, and we open up the story with her essentially her mother dies in front of her. I don't know of like a polite way to put that, but essentially Lark and her mother have a gift, and people with gifts are slaughtered in this country, and if you have any sort of like magic, essentially you are seen as I don't know, a threat to everyone. So one day Lark is basically making these little like doll creatures move and dance around, and the king happens to walk by and is accusing the mother of making this happen, and he ends up killing the mother in front of the daughter. And as the mother is dying, she tells Lark, hey, you need to be quiet. She like whispers this like, I don't know, little, not chant, but kind of rhyme into her head saying like, you can't talk until it's safe. And so from then until now, Lark has been completely mute, and her father has forbidden her from reading reading or writing, so she has really no way of communicating with people, although she can understand them. It starts very interestingly, and the way that the story is told instantly drew me in. I really enjoy the prose. This one is supremely flowery in my opinion compared to the other two books, and while I feel like Radiance kind of has a fairy tale-esque quality, this one really feels like an old fairy tale. So if you're into that, you might enjoy this book. I think what I'm not enjoying and what is causing me to DNF this book at 60% is the characterization of Lark. She is so irritating. So in present day, the story follows us when Lark is essentially captured by the new king, King Tyrus, who is the son of the king that killed her mother. And King Tyrus is kind of harsh. He ends up kind of like, I guess, warming up to her, but he ends up capturing her, kind of teaching her to read and write. That's part of like their story together. But beyond that, I don't feel any chemistry between the two characters, and I just don't feel like I'm going to enjoy their romance. And seeing as this is a video for fantasy romance, I just don't feel compelled to continue when I don't feel like I'm going to enjoy the romance. It's like, your dad killed her mom and you're not exactly doing anything to kind of change her perception or opinion of like your family. He is just very commandeering. He doesn't seem to have a lot of respect for her, despite kind of allowing her to use her gift around him. And I don't know, Lark in general I'm not loving either, because I just think she's a little bit too naive. You know, she has seen death, she has seen people being prosecuted for having the same gifts that she has, and yet she has no issue flaunting her gift. And it's very strange. So all of the people around King Tyrus don't want people with gifts to be allowed, and so King Tyrus kind of has to hide her away and hide her gifts. Yeah, I don't know, it's just, the story seems interesting. It's kind of giving me the Wrath and the Dawn vibes, but with a little less like culture and world building and a lot less romance. I don't know, I'm just, for a fantasy romance, it's just not really doing it for me, which is sad, because I think that the writing is really beautiful, and I think Amy Harmon usually does a really convincing job at getting me to like two characters and have them get together. But I just think King Tyrus is too cold and bland, and I think Lark is just a little too naive for me, and I just don't really like the way the story's going. There's like flying bird men who are trying to attack the kingdom, and I just can't bring myself to care. This is gonna be a DNF for me, which is kind of sad. I thought this would be perhaps one of my favorite between the three of them, just because I've liked her works in the past and I know the most about her books, but not for me. So that's a DNF, but hey, maybe you guys will enjoy it. Definitely not a bad book, it's just not really one that compelled me. With that being said, that's kind of the end of the video. I read 3 fantasy romances with varying levels of success, and I guess want to briefly reflect on this experience. It has been interesting. I have always been someone, I think when I first started reading, who's really into fantasy, and I considered that to be my favorite genre. And then I didn't ever took really a break from reading, but when I started getting more into books again in like 2017, I just assumed that I'd pick up right where I left off and read fantasy. And I realized that my taste has kind of changed. I just really gravitate towards romance now, and I think getting to see the blend of the two has been really interesting. Has it been super successful? I don't know. I think when fantasy romance hinges more on the romance side of things, I tend to enjoy it more. Just feel like From Blood and Ash was just maybe a little bit too plot heavy for me, and I just didn't seem to care much. So I guess it's good. I guess I can kind of still enjoy like hints of fantasy in my romance if I pick up things that are perhaps a little bit light on the fantasy. Yeah, I don't know. It's been an interesting experience. I am glad that I picked these books up, especially since, like I said, I've never seen so many comments as I have when you guys talked about From Blood and Ash. Overall, kind of a time, but I am just so excited, guys. This video has taken so long because I've just kind of been very up and down with the books, but I'm so excited for my next video. I am going to be reading like 4 or 5 new indie romance releases from my favorite authors. I'm just ready to get into that. I'm not saying I'm like ready to be done with this video, but like I'm ready to be done with this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and until next time.